What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a new episode of the J-Rock Show here in the SimWorld Sports Studios here in Houston. I'm your host, as always, Jason J.K. Candell. It's great to be here, and I don't have a player or a coach on this episode due to scheduling conflicts with The Last Dance. Hope you're all tuned into that. But I do have somebody joining me for this episode. I got a media peer, a fellow media member of mine, a close colleague, Mr. B-Ron himself. B-Ron, welcome to the show. It's a long time coming. Great to have you here. How are we doing, my man?
Mr. B-Ron, that's crazy. I like it, though. I like it. Look, thank you for having me on, JK. It's been a while since you had the show, and I'm surprised it took this long for me to get on the show. But you know what? I'm mad about it. It's all right. I understand. I understand. No, but for real, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me on, man. I am excited to talk some SimWorld U with you.
Me too, man. I've been loving it. I've been loving being able to write about it and be on the calls, and it's been great witnessing you on the call, even though we're finally back in action after some blackouts this past week. But on that topic, let's talk about the J-Rock Performer of the Week. We do them every week now, and this one was a no-brainer for me. Madison Miles with the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas has won 6 in a row. Madison Miles is a star you can really lean on when it comes down to Hoopsteria, and he's really selling himself as a lottery pick again. His stock started low at the beginning of the year, and he's starting to play like the player that scouts knew he could be entering the season, B-Ron.
Yeah, he really has been. And Madison Miles third is one of those guys who, for Kansas, when you look at this team, and this is why, JK, I have sure they've been inconsistent throughout the year. They started the season really up and down, losing games, winning games they shouldn't have, that kind of thing. But they've turned around, and like you said, they're hot. Last 6 in a row, they've won, and Madison Miles has been a big part of that. He scored 25 points in their last game against Dayton, and he had nine rebounds as well. Also had 3 assists. And then if you look at the Texas Tech game, he had 28 points, 5 assists, 2 rebounds. He's doing a lot of everything. Also had a block and a steal. But the thing is, he's doing a bit of everything for Kansas, and he is really their go-to guy when you look at this Jayhawk team. And in Hoopsteria, they really could be a dangerous team, and they have a lot of what you're looking for, in my opinion. When you talk about a potential quad level team.
I would absolutely agree with that. Because not only do you have Madison Miles, he's kind of the head of the snake with this Kansas team. You still have Nas Hall, who's been really impressive in his freshman campaign, and the shooting prowess of a guy like Charles Pinkard. And then, not to mention another guy like Jabbar Wilson. Bill Self is still one of the best coaches when it comes down to Hoopsteria in all of SimWorld U. And this is a team I'm not taking lightly at all, because with the way Madison Miles has been playing, he just knows how to back guys down and kind of impose himself, get a little dirty, get gritty. Kansas, sky's the limit with the way they've been playing right now.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's why I think this is a very dangerous team come Hoopsteria because of the guys you mentioned, and also you can't forget about their off their bench. Some of the guys on the bench too are pretty good. Dino Ahern, we've seen him come in and play some big minutes and get some big buckets and make big plays in spots. Same for Carmelo Vega as well, coming off the bench. And I think that they have a lot of what you need to succeed. You have the veteran leadership of a guy like Jabbar Wilson, Madison Miles third again, who's your main star guy. Your 2 freshmen in Nas Hall and Charles Pinkard are coming in and doing their part to help out this team. I think that they have what it takes, man. And Madison Miles again, premier athlete for Kansas, and I think that if they want to have a great hoopsteria run, obviously he's gonna have to be a big part of that. He's gonna have to be. If not, if he disappears, man, good luck. But I think that I think that because they're starting to click now, this is kind of a sign of things to come, in my opinion, for Kansas.
Yeah, I think that that Big 12 is the fact that they beat two teams at the top of the conference very handily. They beat Dayton, they beat Texas Tech, two teams that were honestly two of their biggest adversaries for that second spot behind Texas. They beat them pretty badly. And I would say it's between Texas and Kansas for the conference now. They're number 13 in the country. The Jayhawks, I think they're playing like a top 10 team in the country.
Yeah, they really could be in the top 10, and it wouldn't surprise me one bit. And I think that they'll get there. It's just a matter of when they get there and who gets, knocked down a few pegs before that happens. And we look at the rest of their season, their next games against Texas. Right now, they're 1-2. Well, they're tied for first in the Big 12. So that Texas game is going to be huge for Kansas. They're going to need to get that one over Texas if they want to get in the first place at least. But either way, I think it comes down to those two teams in the conference at the end of the regular season for the conference championship game. And either way, however that one goes, both those teams are getting in hoops area no matter what, regardless of what happens. In my opinion, there's no way you can leave one of them out.
I would say they're both on the top two or three seeds.
Yeah,
Not to mention Kansas made the Elite Eight last year.
yeah, they did. That's right. That's right. It made the Elite Eight, and I think this is just going to be a not return to form, but more of what we expect from Kansas, like you mentioned, come Hoopsteria time. This is what they do. They're usually in the thick of it when it comes to Hoopsteria and the big tournament at the end of the year. They're in the final. They're in the final eight. They're in the quad. They're in the national championship game. You expect this from Kansas, and I think that this is another year where Bill Self coming into the season said, this is one of the best teams he's ever coached. You're seeing it play out right now in this stretch of games here for Kansas. Yes, again, the inconsistency earlier to start the season to find the footing with the new faces and that kind of stuff. But once they figured it out, it's better late than never to figure it out, especially for a school like Kansas with the aspirations you have every year to try to get to a national championship game. This is what you do at Kansas. So, not a surprise, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the standard at Allen Fieldhouse. Those
Yeah.
fans are rowdy. One of the best environments in all of SimWorld U. We talk about Cameron Indoor. We talk about Rupp Arena. We talk about the Breslin Center, place I know all too well. Allen Fieldhouse, right up there. But I think they're a team that's going to be so interesting to watch over the next couple of weeks, couple of months. But let's talk about some other teams around the country. We're going to do a bit of a buy or sell this episode, B-Ron, where I'm going to give you a couple of teams. Some are playing well right now, some aren't. And I want to know if you are going to buy or sell them when it comes down to their Hoopsteria stock.
All right, sure. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. First team I want to bring up is the Arkansas Razorbacks. DJ Wagner is a great player, interesting story. I got to write an article and talk to him about him and talk to him on Wednesday. I hope all of you read that because he could make history as the first third generation player in the SWBA. Just let's not forget that. And while we talk about DJ Wagner, he is as gifted of a scorer as they come, B-Ron.
Yeah, yeah, he is absolutely no doubt about it, no doubt about it. So, for this buy or sell, are we? I'm curious. I have to know. Are we selling them, not making Upsteria, or how does this work?
I
I
say
need some
you
ground
buy
rules.
them to go far, you sell them if you don't think they will.
Okay, got you. Um, I'll buy them to go far. By far, I think they'll at least make it to the Elite Eight, depending on matchups. I can see that. I can see them getting that far. I like Arkansas. I don't like them in the conference to win the conference. I think that that's Alabama or Kentucky's job to do personally. Even though right now there's a three-way tie for second place between Kentucky, Arkansas, and South Carolina, but I think that Kentucky and Bama come down to them two in the conference championship game. But anyway, back to Arkansas. I do think that Arkansas has the talent to make it to at least the Elite Eight. You talk about guys like Wagner, obviously. Norvell Dijon Jones over there is also great talent to have for that Razorback team. I'm gonna buy them to at least make it to the Elite Eight.
Okay. I think I'm also gonna buy here because I love DJ Wagner. My belief is that guard play wins you games in Hoopsteria, and I don't think there's many guys in all of SimWorld U that I trust to step up more than I do DJ Wagner. Kid's gonna be a stud, and I can't wait to see what he does in the SWBA.
Step up, huh? I like it because there was a lot of talk. I remember in high school around Wagner and his lack of aggressiveness, assertiveness, whatever you want to call it. So I'm really surprised to hear you say that. Not that I don't disagree with you on that point. But anyway, carry on.
Yeah, I the reason I trust him so much is because John Calipari trusts him. He coached his dad when he was in SimWorld U. That's two
Man,
generations worth of trust.
that's wild. That's wild. That connection, yeah, it makes sense though.
And that's why
Gotta
you're
love it.
seeing a more aggressive, more assertive version of DJ Wagner this season. He can attack the basket. He can shoot from deep. The only thing he's really struggled at is the charity stripe.
Yeah, yeah, and as a guard though, I feel like that's an area where you should be a little bit more proficient at than some of your counterparts on the team. Just my personal opinion, of course.
I can certainly agree with that. This is another team I find very polarizing. Next team we're going to talk about, and that's the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech's
Ooh,
kind of been struggling as of late. You got Dante Walker over there. They have some nice incoming recruits, but I'm a little bit apprehensive to believe in this team given their lack of depth. I think that we're finally seeing Georgia Tech for who they are as of late. I don't think that they're really the contender that everybody believes they are. They have one star player, and I think they just took advantage of a very weak out of conference schedule.
I am coming around to that thought myself. In all honesty, I've been going back and forth about them for the past few weeks now with their inconsistent play. They started off red hot, as a lot of people know. They had a really long win streak at one point in time, as well as Virginia Tech did too. But Georgia Tech, they're in an ACC that is looking much. I want to say it's looking tougher than a lot of people expected it to be. I think most people were expecting it to be Duke and Miami at the top. I was one of those people, most certainly. Um, but it hasn't been that way. Right now. It's Louisville and Duke, uh, as of right now, and I'm gonna sell Georgia Tech. I'm gonna sell. I think, and I only think that for the reasons you mentioned, they have one star guy in Donta Walker who's phenomenal for them. There's no doubt about it. But the other guys, they really haven't had to do a whole lot. They have had their moments. We saw the Gregorian calendar make an impact earlier in the season. We've seen guys like Miguel Person play well at times too, but overall, I'm really just unsure about how far they can go. So that's why I'm gonna sell because of the uncertainty there. I'm gonna sell on them.
All of these teams are certainly getting in, mind you, but I
Yes,
don't think that this
yes,
team is. I think they can very well be a first round exit. Their guard, like I say, guard play wins games in hoops area, and I don't trust the guards. Dante Walker, phenomenal. What guard can I trust on this Georgia Tech team? It's that simple. It's why I believe that Virginia Tech's a different story because Virginia Tech at least they have two stars in Novik and Newly Cox. Georgia Tech just has
yeah,
one.
yeah. Also, let's not forget Georgia Tech lost Adama Mood earlier in the year too. That I think is a bigger blow than what people may be thinking about when you look back at what this team was doing before Mahmood went down with the injury. Now he's not with him not playing anymore at the moment. That's a big blow to them. So that is not good at all for Georgia Tech. And I think that his lack of impact has really hurt them.
Yeah, I'd say his absence for Georgia Tech is on par with the Aiden Weaver absence for Alabama. I think you could genuinely go that far.
Mm, I see your point, but I don't think it's impacted Alabama as much. Personally, I don't. It certainly has it in the record department.
That's
I
fair.
could see it. I could see it if they had a similar fall off to Georgia Tech, but They haven't.
I'm just talking about in like the player archetype.
Oh no, yeah, right, of course. I that I'll agree with you on there, yes. But if we're talking about overall play, hasn't hurt it too much. 20-2 on the year. Anyway, carry on.
Last but certainly not least, the
Yeah.
Big East is quite the interesting conference this year. Villanova's looking to be running the show in that conference. St. John's and
Mhm.
Butler not far behind, but a team that's really had some momentum as of late in that conference are the Georgetown Hoyas. You got Ed Cooley helming things over there. You have Keith Singleton, the freshman, Atlee Backman. This is a very talented Georgetown team, and they're getting hot at just the right time. It's rare you see a team beat Villanova by 30 on their home floor.
Yeah, especially with the way Nova's been playing throughout the year at home. They had that like 20,000 game homestand, and they were destroying people and winning a lot of their games at home at one point in time. They're still overall really good at home this season. But Georgetown, this one's a little tough for me because I like what they've done at certain points in the season. Um, but like Georgia Tech, in my opinion, they've been up and down in various spots, and it seems like I don't know what I'm gonna get from them a lot of the time, personally. So I'm gonna sell on Georgetown. I'm gonna sell. I like some of the things over there, yeah, but and they are hitting a nice stride 4-1 in their last 5 right now. But I don't know what's gonna happen when they go up against some of the talent that is, above them in tiers. I think they're in that if we're talking, 1, 2, and 3 tier teams. I think that Georgetown is in the middle between a 2 and a 3, leaning towards 3 for me.
Interesting. I thought that you were gonna buy because I was thinking that I'm gonna buy with this team. I like the young guards. Jay Laster and Keith Singleton are freshmen. The way they've produced, really impressive to me. Then you got a guy like Atlee Backman down low. There's talent on this team. It's just all matter of which Jay Laster or which Keith Singleton they get, and they still have a guy like JoJo Kearney off the bench. This is a very talented Georgetown roster, and they're playing in a conference that's got some good opposition.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna buy. I don't think they're a quad team, but do I think that they can get to the second weekend? Absolutely, I do. Absolutely.
Well, well, see that's my reason though for selling on them though. You never know which version of these guys you're gonna get, and come Hoopsteria, you can't really have those kind of question marks, in my opinion. Yes, I know basketball and any sport really is a game where you can get any version of any player at any given time. But there are some guys out there, there are some players that are gonna give you solid production no matter what in some way, shape, or form. And Cooper Flag, for example. I don't think anyone's ever had to worry about Cooper Flag having a game where he plays 30 minutes and doesn't do a whole lot in the stat sheet. He doesn't finish the game with less than 18 20 points, right? That's my concern with Georgetown though. I don't know what I'm gonna get from those guys on a nightly basis. And when it comes to Hoopsteria, when it comes to these kind of games, if a team can game plan to shut down one or two of those guys you mentioned between Singleton, Laster, and Backman, I think that Georgetown is going to struggle in those games in particular. If one or two of those guys isn't playing up to snuff, they're going to get potentially run out of the gym, and you can't have that in Hoops area. Not with all of those teams in the tournament. Everybody looking to take you down, especially if you're a higher seed.
Absolutely. That's why I like guard play. That's why I look for shooting. That's why some teams that I'm really high on that I just want to mention before we end this episode, are UCLA and SMU. Were teams that I was going to ask you about, but in the interest of time, I don't think we'll be able to do so. But before we depart,
I'll
I just want to
real quick. I'm gonna cut you off real quick though. Can I give you a real quick?
yeah,
I'm gonna give you the one word answer for those. I'm gonna buy UCLA. I'm gonna sell SMU.
I get that. That makes sense. Are there any teams that you're super high on that we have not talked about yet, B-Ron?
Let me see, man. Let me see if we on the spot. Me on the spot here. I'm gonna look at some of the more under the radar teams. I'm not gonna go, Duke, Louisville. I could do that. 'Cause those are obvious ones, right? Um, for all the flack I give Gonzaga, I do I could see them going on a little run in hoops area because historically they've been pretty good come tournament time. For all the flack I give Gonzaga, everyone knows my feels about them. But I think that with the talent they do have over there, I think they could sneak and surprise some people in hoops area. I don't know if they make it to the Elite Eight or the quad necessarily, but I think they could have a little decent run in hoops area. That's just one that comes to mind, and also Michigan as well.
Yeah, they're big man oriented team though. That's my worry with them. But that's gonna do it for this episode of the J Rock Show. B-Ron, I appreciate you coming and talk to me. It's been great having you on. You're always welcome to come back. This is a great conversation, a great time. And for all of you watching at home, remember, folks, SimWorld, the only place you can see the game, be the game. Have a great week and stay warm, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great rest of your week.